We have more now on that bombshell new reporting from MSNBC's Carol Leonnig and Ken Dilanian. But the Trump Justice Department shut down an investigation into White House border czar Tom Homan. Last year, in an undercover operation, the FBI recorded Homan accepting $50,000 in cash after indicating he could help agents who were posing as business executives win government contracts in the second Trump administration. At the time, Homan was the owner of a private consulting business and was not a public official. Two sources told MSNBC that in recent weeks, Trump appointees officially closed the investigation after FBI Director Kash Patel requested a status update on the case. When asked for comment about MSNBC's reporting, the White House, the Justice Department, and the FBI dismissed the investigation as politically motivated and baseless. Tom Homan did not respond to MSNBC's request for comment. Joining us now, Congressman Jamie Rasking of Maryland, who serves as ranking member on the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Good to finally have you on.
I'm delighted to be with you guys.
Can you give us your response to this bombshell reporting from Carol and Ken?
Well, this is astonishing. I mean, everybody needs to know that the FBI was actually involved in a different investigation in Texas when one of the subjects there was apparently overheard talking about Tom Homan taking money in return for a promise to give people contracts when the new administration began. So then they added an investigative component to look into Tom Homan, and they sent in FBI agents, as I understand it, undercover with $50,000 wrapped up in a restaurant bag, and he accepted the $50,000 apparently in return for a promise to steer them contracts when he got in. Now, why didn't they charge him with bribery right then? He wasn't a government official. Theoretically, he could have been charged with something else, like perhaps conspiracy to commit bribery, but the FBI and the DOJ reasoned that they would be better, given that they had it on tape, apparently, and they had nailed that down, to wait for him to get in and then have, at that point, him deliver on it, deliver on the promised contract to, I think it was a fictitious business, and at that point they'd be able to close the case. Well, under Kash Patel, the FBI, and under Pam Bondi, the DOJ, simply decided to close down the investigation and say that there was no basis for it. So obviously, we are going to demand an investigation into the whole thing, but we would like them to turn over the tape. If there is no crime recorded on the tape, and if apparently he was completely absolved, as they're saying now, turn that tape over and let's make that public.
Another thing that happened over the last couple of days is President Trump on Truth Social last night urging Pam Bondi to prosecute his rivals, and that we can't delay any longer. I want to read a little bit from it and get your reaction. Pam, I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially, quote, same old story as last time, all talk, no action, nothing is being done. What about Comey, Adam, his words, Shifty Schiff, Letitia, that's Letitia James. They're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. Justice must be served now. President DJT. There are a couple things here. One, the President of the United States publicly doing this. He has access to Pam Bondi, more access than most presidents have access to their Attorney General. So this is something he could have said behind the scenes. What do you think the point is of putting it out there publicly? It's not surprising, but what do you think the point was for him doing this publicly instead of privately?
Well, he obviously wants to condition the public to the idea that it's completely legitimate for the President of the United States not only to be ordering prosecutions of particular people over the objections of prosecutors who say there's no probable cause to pursue a prosecution, but he wants to condition the public to accepting the idea he can do that in public, openly, sort of like, when he said, Russia, if you're listening, go and get those emails. He's basically saying, I'm going to tell you who to prosecute, and I'm going to tell you in front of the whole world who to prosecute. It was his handpicked U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Virginia, Mr. Sievert, who looked into it and then said there's no basis there to charge an offense against Letitia James. And that's what infuriated the president, and that's why they sacked him or forced him out of the job. I think Trump said, no, you're not quitting, I'm firing you. You know, it's a race to see whether he could get out of that completely unethical cesspool faster, or whether Trump could somehow, you know, claim credit for saying you're fired. But in any event, it was his U.S. attorney who said there's nothing there. Now, what's comical about the whole thing is Donald Trump is, of course, ruining any potential prosecution of any of these people. And, of course, most of it seems completely fabricated in each case that he's talking about. But he's ruining it because he is demonstrating to the court eventually that this is selective criminal investigation and selective prosecution, and that all of the real attorneys are objecting, and he has to fire them, force them out, and then put somebody else in to do as well.
Congressman, we have less than a minute left, but I'm going to switch gears and talk about the Constitution. Listen to what FCC Chair Brendan Carr had to say about the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel.
Our goal and our obligation here is to make sure that broadcasters are serving the public interest. And if there's local TV stations that don't think that running that programming does it, then they have every right under the law in their contracts to preempt it.
I don't think this is the last shoe to drop. This is a massive shift that's taking place in the media ecosystem, and I think the consequences are going to continue to flow.
So, Congressman, two separate interviews on Thursday. Just in terms of the Constitution, is Brendan Carr right?
They define the public interest as agreeing with Donald Trump and never contradicting him. That is the exact opposite of our First Amendment, which gives everybody the right to speak, including comedians, including satirists, including late-night TV talk show hosts. And you don't have to agree with the government. That's what it means to have a First Amendment and the freedom of speech. This is blatant viewpoint discrimination, which is when the government is unleashed against people because somebody in the government doesn't like what they have to say and the viewpoint that they're representing.